Before we begin, it's very important for me to know what you think. This story isn't just about dry facts. It's a chain of decisions, mistakes, and brilliant insights that changed the world. So, if you're interested in weapons, history, and technology, be sure to subscribe to the channel and write in the comments what other forbidden or legendary weapons you'd like to learn about. Your engagement is a sign that we're moving in the right direction. Now let's dive in. Sometimes history isn't made in the offices of generals or to the fanfare of victory parades. It begins with a quiet, almost physical feeling of exhaustion. The exhaustion of a soldier carrying a 10-kilogram rifle from the First World War. The exhaustion of an engineer banging their head against a wall of conservative views. The exhaustion of illusions, of thinking that's how it's always been, so that's how it must be. And it's from this exhaustion, from this quiet desperation, that breakthroughs are born. Today, we'll talk about one such breakthrough that everyone initially considered a mistake. About a machine gun that shouldn't have existed. About the carbine MKB.42H, the brainchild of Hugo Schmeisser, which in 1943 fell into the hands of Soviet specialists and made them sit down and write, with cold precision, "The carbine is interesting. Behind that terse phrase lies an entire world." Let's open it up. Part 1. The Dead End. Why the Tsar cartridge became problem number 1. To understand the genius of the intermediate cartridge concept and the weapons built for it, you need to grasp the dead end in which global small arms design found itself by the late 1930s. Imagine a century-long race for power. Since the days of flintlock muskets, the motto was simple. The more powerful the bullet, the farther and more reliably it would strike the enemy. By World War II, this race had hit a ceiling. The classic rifle cartridge, like our native 7.62x54 mmR or the German 7.92 by 57 mm Mauser, is a monster. Powerful, long-range, lethal. But every metal has a reverse side. Recoil. Heavy recoil isn't just discomfort. It makes effective automatic fire nearly impossible. Try to imagine a fully automatic Mosin rifle. After the first burst, the barrel is pointing at the sky. The weight and size of a weapon needed to mitigate that recoil became prohibitive for an infantryman. Weight and size. The cartridge itself is heavy and large. A soldier physically couldn't carry many of them. A standard load of 120 to 150 rounds was already a significant burden. And for automatic fire, that's instant expenditure. Overkill. Here's the key point. Combat analysis showed that the vast majority of firefights occurred at distances up to 400 or 500 meters, often within 200. So why a cartridge effective out to 1,000 meters or more? It's a colossal waste of resources. Powder, metal, and the soldiers' carrying capacity. The best engineering minds understood this. As early as 1916, our compatriot Vladimir Fedorov created an automatic rifle. He actually coined the term Avtomat for the reduced 6.5 by 50 mm Arisaka cartridge. He saw the future, but the future didn't see him. Revolution, devastation, conservatism, the project faded. In 1932, the Danes presented their own automatic rifle for a unique 7 by 44 mm cartridge. Silence. The world, mesmerized by the might of the full-power cartridge, wasn't ready to listen to heretics. Part 2. The Germans give in. The birth of a compromise. But war is a great accelerator of processes. And the Germans, with their pragmatic engineering genius, were the first to officially search for a way out of the dead end. In 1938, as Europe already smelled of gunpowder, the Wehrmacht's weapons office, Heeres Waffenamt, initiated a secret program. The task: develop a new type of cartridge and a weapon for it. The cartridge had to be smaller and less powerful than a rifle cartridge, but more powerful and longer range than a pistol cartridge, like those for the PPSH or MP40. A middle ground cartridge. An intermediate one. The Pulte concern from Magdeburg delivered the 7.92 by 33 mm Kurz, short cartridge. Notice, they kept the old rifle caliber for production commonality, but radically shortened the case. Power dropped by about half. For generals raised on dogma, this was a shock. But the logic of war was taking over. The contract for the weapon went to two firms, Walther and today's star, Henel, from the city of Suhl, where the chief designer was none other than Hugo Schmeisser, a legend of German firearms design, creator of the MP-28 and MP-40. The weapon was named Maschinenkarabiner, MKB, machine carbine, and two rival brothers appeared. The MKB.42, W, from Walther, and the MKB.42, H, from Henel.
Par 3, MKB.42, H.
Genius in the details and Schmeisser's audacity. Now, let's imagine we are Soviet engineers in 43, and this strange German hybrid has just landed on our desk. What do we see? 1. The operating system breaking a taboo. Schmeisser used a gas-operated system, tapping propellant gases through a port in the barrel. Sounds trivial? Back then, it was audacious. Since the late 20s, the German military had an almost religious prejudice against drilling gas ports in barrels, believing it reduced reliability and accuracy. They demanded the use of muzzle traps, like on the M1 Garand rifle. Schmeisser ignored this dogma, and he was right. The gases pushed a long piston rigidly attached to the bolt carrier. Reliable, simple, production-friendly. 2. Locking mechanism, check roots. Locking of the barrel was achieved by tilting the bolt vertically. A recognizable scheme? It's the hallmark of the famous Czechoslovak ZB-26 light machine gun, the great-grandfather of our Bren and the entire Soviet machine gun school. Schmeisser wasn't shy about borrowing the best, proven solutions, no matter where they were born. 3. The look, a weapon from the future. What immediately caught the eye was its linear layout. The stock was in a straight line with the receiver. Why? Because inside the stock, along its entire length, was the recoil spring. This reduced muzzle climb during firing. The weapon was easy to control. The magazine, the famous 30-round banana magazine. It's curved not for looks but because of the pronounced taper of the new cartridge's case. The cartridges fit properly this way. Materials: stamping, stamping, and more stamping. The receiver body, parts of the trigger group, all were made from stamped sheet steel with spot welding. In their reports, our specialists specifically noted the high quality of the welds and the finishing. Why stamping? Genius under wartime conditions. It was fast, cheap, saved steel, and didn't require highly skilled machinists. Germany was already feeling the resource crunch. Ergonomics: a pistol grip, a convenient fire selector button above it. The safety was implemented by rotating the cocking handle. The rear sight was adjustable up to 800 meters, which, as we understood, was excessive for this cartridge. There was even a rail for mounting the ZF-41 optical sight. Here is its portrait. A relatively light, about 5 kilograms, compact, rapid-firing, 500 rounds per minute weapon, allowing a soldier to carry 1.5 times more ammunition than for a rifle, and to deliver both accurate single shots and dense automatic fire at medium range. The perfect tool for close and medium combat, where most attacks and counterattacks are decided. Part 4. Hitler versus the generals. A game of cat and mouse. But there was one problem. Adolf Hitler. When Schmeisser presented his carbine to the Führer in April 42, the reaction was predictably negative. Hitler, a frontline veteran of World War I, thought in terms of trench warfare. For him, a weak cartridge was heresy. What do we need this for when our rifle is effective at 1,200 meters? It's useless in the desert, where fighting with the British was ongoing. That was roughly his logic. He banned further development, demanding a focus on improving existing rifles and machine guns. And here, the German generals, who already understood that on the Eastern Front, against masses of Soviet PPSHs and determined infantry, they needed precisely such a tool, resorted to a trick. They formally obeyed but renamed the weapon. The Maschinenkarabiner became a Maschinen pistol, submachine gun, the MP-43. Allegedly, it was just an evolution of the MP-40. And under this legend, secret, and then mass production began. This is an amazing historical quirk. One of the most important weapons of the Wehrmacht was produced and sent to the front almost using guerrilla methods, contrary to the direct order of the Supreme Commander. It wasn't until 44, when enthusiastic field reports landed on Hitler's desk, that he changed his anger to mercy and gave the weapon the proud name Sturmgewehr, assault rifle. The STG-44. Part 5. The View from the USSR. The cold analysis of 1943. Now for the most interesting part. Let's return to our specialists from NIP SVO, Small Arms Research Proving Ground. Summer of 1943. The Battle of Kursk. The war is in full swing, and captured MKB.42H fall into their hands. They test them, shoot, disassemble, measure, analyze. Their report is a model of military technical intellectual honesty. No panique, no admiration. Dry, precise analysis. The main point is acknowledged. The carbine is interesting as a new type of weapon. They immediately understood it was neither a submachine gun nor a rifle, but something third. Cartridge assessment. Its intermediate position is noted. Its effectiveness at ranges up to 600 meters is emphasized. Advantages are noted. Allows for a denser saturation of troops with automatic weapons. They saw the key tactical advantage, the ability to increase infantry fire density to a new level. Technical assessment. The carbine's design represents an original stamped construction. The quality of manufacture is highly rated. But, and here lies a crucial moment, our engineers essentially caught the trend but likely couldn't conduct full-fledged tests due to a shortage of those very German 7.92 by 33mm cartridges. More importantly, the USSR at that time did not have its own intermediate cartridge. There were experiments but no ready, adopted solution. Work on our future 7.62 by 39mm, the Model 43 cartridge, was in full swing, but it would become mass-produced later. So, the German machine gun became for us not a blueprint for copying, but a powerful signal. Guys, we're on the right track, but we need to speed up. And they did speed up. The result would be the legendary AK-47, which, despite all the fundamental differences in design, long-stroke gas piston, rotating bolt, would embody the same philosophy as the STG-44, a reliable, production-friendly, powerful infantry weapon for an intermediate cartridge. Part 6. Historical Irony and Legacy. The story of the MKB.42H is a story of how technical necessity breaks even the hardest dogmas. How engineering thought, Schmeissers, proved more prescient than military thought, initially. How one country took the first step, and another, having studied it carefully, made a powerful leap that defined the face of small arms for half a century. After the war, Hugo Schmeisser, along with other German specialists, was brought to the USSR to Izhevsk, where he worked for several years. What exactly he did there is a topic for a separate huge discussion and a million speculations. But the philosophy of the assault rifle was already in the air. Its time had come. So why is the carbine interesting? Not because it was super-duper and all-powerful. It had flaws. Its weight, some bulkiness, complexity of disassembly. It is interesting as a symbol of a paradigm shift. The final chord of the Tsar cartridge era and the beginning of the era of the infantryman's balanced weapon, like a Swiss army knife, for close and medium combat, for assault and defense. The next time you see the familiar silhouette of an AK in a movie or a picture, remember this story. Remember the tired German soldier near Leningrad with his experimental MKB.42H. Remember the Soviet engineers in the rear, leaning over a captured sample and writing in neat handwriting. The carbine is interesting. That is history. An unbroken chain of borrowing, analysis, mistakes, and brilliant insights.